para el trabajo que venía.
They were serious about serving the Lord, and some of them, Isaias and Yido, Dr. Canario, and Ali Alia especially, talk wistfully of someday having a medical ministry.
Gracias por venir a todos.
So a little tour. Here's a row of columns in place and the general site. You might see some individual pieces of rebar tied together standing up about 4 or 5 feet. Those are in line wherever there are walls, and we're just starting to put those in here at this end. So you'll see this is an exterior wall, and to the right of those rebar pieces is the foundation goes out further. That's because the foundation extends out beyond the exterior walls about 1 meter. Here are the guys tying all the rebar. These fellows are working on the top layer of rebar, tying the rebar together. Every intersection of the rebar that's all spaced 6 inches apart is tied with these tie wires. It's a very monotonous process, but these guys are making great headway. And you can see this is all areas that they've finished up. And from about here to the right, they still have stuff to do. This is a 2-inch concrete spacer. We've made over 40,000 of these for the project. These hold the bottom layer of rebar up off the ground about 2 inches so the concrete can be underneath that bottom layer of rebar. And here we're going to dive down in through the 2 layers of rebar so you can just kind of understand that the 2 layers are spaced about 4 to 5 inches apart. The bottom layer is up off of the ground about 2 inches. So this is going to make one very strong slab to act as the foundation of the clinic. Over 120 miles of rebar. And here are the guys that have been doing all this work. They've been setting over 90 columns. They are very heavy units, so it takes 4 guys to carry them out. And then these are more like probably 15 feet tall when they stand them up. But there's 10 pieces of 1/2-inch rebar that make up each of these columns. So it's a little after lunch, Thursday. You can see some sand being poured into the hopper there, behind where all those guys are standing. I think they're checking the equipment, make sure it's measuring the weight of that material properly. We hope to be getting started this afternoon with things. We still have just a little bit of work to do with the rebar here at the end of the building where the kitchen and laundry would be, but they're working on that now. The rest of the area should be pretty much ready to go. Got a pumper truck over here, boomed out, waiting on the concrete to start. So this is the state of things here as of about 2 o'clock. Update you a little later. Well, it's Wednesday, January 20th, 2016, and I think it's a pretty significant day in the life of the clinic, because today is the first day actual block are being laid on the platea to define walls. So it's a very, very fun day to see these blocks being laid in place that will define all the walls of the building. Of course, we're just going to lay 2 blocks high for now, but this is the start of the walls. It's a big day. So today we're starting the backfilling of the platea. So we're going to now cover up this beautiful slab of concrete with the fill material that we brought here from the mine. quite a while ago that we've had here on site specifically for this purpose. So this is the next step. So we have this loader here that's going to put a little dirt in all the rooms close to the perimeter of the building and put a little fill on the outside of the building. And then we'll get some guys here to start spreading this out and compacting it. Well, it's February 12th. We had a big rain last night. Yep, there's a good inch or more of water in the whole building site. What a bummer. So we did start making a little headway, getting some of these areas, at least with fill material in it and leveled out, and then a few places compacted down, like these here. So this is the first of 3 levels or layers, lifts that we're going to be adding and compacting this material. Well, here's our lagoon. It is no longer a lagoon. Cleaned out all the mud, silt, and we are going to throw all these sandstone rocks in it. Start filling it up. Here's the grader. Taking off the hard top layer so that the next layer will stick a little better to the soil. Well, we have our quieter grader here today, the Volvo grader. I don't think it's quite as strong as the Caterpillar machine, but it's getting the job done. Interesting angle from here at the west side of the property. I'm on the original dark colored topsoil here, but you can see how much higher our platea, or the footer, large footer for the clinic, how much higher we've built it up at this point. The lagoon is no more, And we will be handling these larger size rocks just one time now, picking them up from where they're grading it out and compacting it and taking them directly to the lagoon. Here's our wall to date. The guys last week finished the top viga, so we are ready to proceed with another section. So we'll probably be going across the back of the property next. And here is the man cutting all the trees down along the property line, saving volunteers a whole lot of very hard work. This guy is just a beast. Wonderful guy to have doing this. Takes these trees with an axe like he had a steel chainsaw or something. So the stakes are about 30 centimeters. The shortest being about 30 centimeters, the deepest being closer to 40, 39. So basically we're doing 2 lifts per set of stakes that's somewhere around 15 centimeters per lift. So we should be getting a real good compaction with that. So it's the beginning of April. The fill and compaction of the material above the platea is basically done. There's just a few little areas at the far end of the building that need to be addressed. So what we've done is fill up to the top of these 2 layers of block that are down in here. And so all the columns, even if they're in line with walls, they have concrete down in there a little bit. We'll just need to clean the fill material out before we continue with concrete with those columns. But the forming and pouring of all these columns will take place after the block work. This is one of what we call the garden strips. It's basically an alleyway between the 2 building sections to allow ventilation to the rooms that are adjacent to this alley. And what we've done is compacted material in here that's at a slope going away from us, so if water gets in here it will naturally find its way out. We will put a thin concrete cap on top of this, then put a drain pipe, pretty much a French drain system with gravel, and then of course if we want to end up putting plants or vegetation in this area we can after that, but we'll know that water is not an issue. This is kind of the main lobby area of the building. It's all filled. This is kind of the central garden. These columns were poured up 2 meters high. These were done because they were freestanding at the time, so we could get this compaction done in this area. During the compaction we did use this hose very regularly, to water this fill material so that it would properly compact. So basically the only thing left to do are these little areas where we added some block work after we had done the fill and compaction. Realized these were doorways, little miscommunication with the block people as far as whether we needed these block in place, but we do in fact. So here's another one of the long garden sections that has material in it to help water find its way out. This is some of the material that we have had ordered when we did the platea, sand and gravel. Some of that actually belongs to the guest house construction teams, so they have some material here that was purchased at a volume discount, so to speak. You can see the wall has been completed. A good portion of the south side of the property, or at least the block work, is done. Still needs the top beam or viga, and then even this west wall needs some finish work done to it. Frank has taken over as a farmer in the area, and actually he knocked the topsoil that we had stockpiled back here, knocked that down level with a grader. Paid a grader to come do that, and then they've planted yucca on it. And then he has a bunch of plantains and bananas planted in this area. He's financed this himself and plans to pay himself back for what's been done, and whatever additional money is left over he'll give to the project. We do have some remaining rebar stockpiled here that we'll use for beams and vigas. That's there under the blue tarp. Over here at the west side of the property, close to the wall, we have a well where we can get our own water. We will soon be connecting up to a new water line that's been run out the highway past us, about to kilometer 5. This metal fence was put in January. It's been very nice to have to provide security. What you don't see, you're less tempted to steal. When Laura, the concrete company, was here, of course, they put in that well for water. They ran this 2-inch pipe that comes over to this cistern. So this cistern is what we're using for water, for the fill and compaction, to be sure it's got the right moisture content in it. And then we recently have gone ahead and kind of hard piped a pressurized pump, and that goes over to a hose bib over next to the building. Here's the hose bib located close to the building. So we'll be able to use that for masonry work so they can. Here's the hose bib located close to the front of the building here in this corner. That's worked out very well to let the guys have a hose to easily put water into this material so it compacts properly. So obviously we'll use that same hose for the masons to mix mortar and any concrete. The next step that will take place, we will locate where all the drains need to be in the building and have guys carefully dig properly sloped trenches so that when we lay drain pipes in those trenches, they will be at the correct slope to properly drain and function. Those pipes will be set in a fine sand or gravel and then covered with that same material so that they'll be very well protected and properly in place. And then we'll do a little compacting on top of where those pipes are in place. At the same time, we should be able to get block walls started. That will really be fun to see the walls come up out of the ground. So this is where we are with the site. We tried to get the site cleaned up with our little skid steer loader that Caterpillar had so generously donated to us. They picked it up the end of March, so that ends that time with that machine. But we wanted to try and get the job site cleaned up fairly well, initially graded, so it'll be a good site to continue work on. That's it from the Dominican. Back when we were finishing the fill and compaction of the land, we had brought additional material at the end of that phase and stockpiled it in this southeast corner of the property. And as you can see, that is now all gone. We used all that material to put into the building on top of the platea. Had just about the right amount of material, so it worked out very well.